Hey guys, REKLEZ back here again. I'm here with a video, and as you can see by the title, I will be ranking every single Mortal Kombat from worst to best, especially with the release of MK11 just a few days ago. I figured, why not let's just go back and see all of these entries. Now, as far as my research goes, there have only been 15 in total, yes, including the spin-offs. So, hopefully I didn't miss any. If I did, oh well. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The top 15 Mortal Kombat games from worst to best. Number 15, Mortal Kombat Special Forces. All you need to really know is Ed Boon himself has said that he wants to pretend like this game never happened, and for good reason. I actually played this around the same time that it came out, and I'll be the first to tell you it was bad. The controllers were kind of clumsy, the graphics were not good, and the overall gameplay was just very lackluster. There were some boss fights, but other than that, though, it just wasn't great. Yeah, there's really nothing else I can say about it. Number 14, Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero. The only thing that makes this slightly better than the last entry are honestly the hilarious good/bad cutscenes, especially with Richard as Quan Chi. I thought it was actually pretty funny. But the Mario platform gameplay style was, to put it lightly, it just wasn't that good. It was slightly better than the last century. The gameplay wasn't too bad, but when you consider that it took you over like a whole minute to beat a normal minion or a normal bad guy, yeah, it just didn't work. And yeah, possibly the cutscenes are the only thing that saves this game. And also the boss fights were a little too over the top, that were very hard to get through. Let's be honest, the only reason why I got through is because of the cheat codes. But other than that, though, yeah, this game fell flat on its face. Number 13, Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. This could have and should have been one of the best crossovers. On paper and in theory, this sounded like a recipe for success. I mean, whoever thought we would see the likes of Scorpion fight Batman, or Raiden fight Superman, or the Joker going into Mortal Kombat, or etc. Sounds like a dream come true. But let's be real here. The only reason why this game even exists is because their fellow rivals Marvel and Capcom made their decent amount of not decent, they made some really good games themselves, although we all know that they fucked it up kind of. But but honestly though, the gameplay actually wasn't all that bad. This was actually the last Mortal Kombat to ever go 3D until the reboot followed. Honestly, I think the gameplay is actually pretty fun, all things considered. But of course, the highlight of this game were the fatalities and the heroic brutalities, which were very stupid. And even to this day, they're just bad. And this game obviously wanted a teen for teen rating, but let's be honest, if a Mortal Kombat game does not feature any gore or violence, you're asking to get your head cut off. Number 12, Mortal Kombat 3/Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Now, in terms of the original trilogy, this game might have been maybe my least favorite. I don't know, but it was still a fun entry. But possibly one of the most head-scratching decisions in history is the simple fact that they did not include Scorpion. Yep, you heard me right. This game literally did not feature Scorpion. And as you can imagine, the backlash was it was overwhelming. But thankfully, with the release of Ultimate MK3, they did bring Scorpion back, so I guess that helps. But aside from that, that wasn't the only issue going into this game. The other issue was everyone thought that Cabal was way too OP, so his moveset had to be toned down in the Ultimate version. But no matter what version you prefer, they're still pretty good games with good gameplay, really good new characters such as Cyrex and Sector, and various other fan favorites. And to this day, yeah, I think it's a pretty fun game to enjoy. Number 11, Mortal Kombat 1. Here it is, the game that started it all. The game that took the whole world by storm, that even got politicians involved. And yeah, I don't think I have to explain the rest of its history. But this game obviously deserves a spot in history in terms of being one of the best games to ever get released for the arcades. Everyone was spending their hard-earned quarters on the arcade machines, and everybody was just having a blast with this game. Possibly the coolest thing about this was, of course, the fact that this was the first fighting game that featured actual fatalities. And let's be honest, whether or not you like Mortal Kombat, you cannot argue that it helped us see how we see games today. That might have not made any sense, but you get what I'm trying to say. Having the likes of these new characters in really any game, the likes of Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, and basically everybody in this game, it makes it a very memorable, really good game. Unfortunately, it's not as playable as it is back in the day. If you really go back and play this game, you'll probably just be spending most of your time just spamming uppercuts. But like I said before, though, despite the fact that it has not aged well, it's still a part in history, and it's definitely a part of my childhood. Number 10, Mortal Kombat 2. In terms of the original trilogy, once again, this might be my favorite. I don't know why, but I just really think that the new characters such as Katana and Melina and Shang Tsung were pretty damn great. Also, the likes of Kung Lao and Baraka, really cool. Also, let's not forget that we got introduced to another Shokan warrior in Kitaro, and of course, the different boss, which was Shao Kahn. But the character that really caught my attention was definitely Shang Tsung. I don't know if it was because he could morph into anybody. I don't know if it was because of his really cool design. Believe it or not, that's actually my favorite design of Shang Tsung. Just liable truth. And the fatalities in the gameplay were definitely they were much more improved from its predecessor, and it remains a really, really good game. And like I said, possibly my favorite of the original trilogy. And speaking of trilogy, number 9, Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Honestly, this was the one Mortal Kombat that really got me hooked onto the franchise. Fun little story. Back in the day, my dad would work the night shift, and I would be babysat from a babysitter. And what he would do was he would come home, bring me back home, and immediately I would jump onto this game. I would pop it in the PS1 and get rolling. And even to this day, I still have some very fun memories. This was basically the Mortal Kombat Armageddon of its time, combining the rosters of the first 3 Mortal Kombat games. And it's not hard to see why this game is just so memorable, and it's just so playable, and it's just amazing, and it's great. Not to mention, we got the likes of Goro, Kataro, Motaro, and Shao Kahn as playable characters. I mean, honestly, what more can you ask for? And we even got some really cool looking skins for just a certain amount of people, such as the likes of Raiden, Kano, and yeah, that's all I remember. But regardless, though, this game remains one of the best games for the PlayStation 1 era. Number 8, Mortal Kombat Deception. If I could be honest for 1 minute, this is the Mortal Kombat game that gave me the best memories. This game, it was always myself, my dad, my uncle, and my cousin. It was always the 4 of us playing this game. They would come over on the weekends, and it was very, very fun. It was all 4 of us almost every single weekend playing this game, and we all had a blast. Hell, even the likes of puzzle combat and chess combat were pretty enjoyable. The conquest mode was very lackluster, unfortunately, but the game as a whole, though, is pretty damn great. We got introduced to one of the best boss fights in MK history with Onaga, one of the most intimidating, most recognizable Mortal Kombat villains of all time. Not to mention, we got a lot of new faces in this game, such as the likes of Noob Smoke. Yep, if you guys remember that. Also the likes of Darius, Dairu, and there was some other guy who he wore white hair with blue armor. I forgot his name. And we even got Zombie Liu Kang, which, yeah, probably best to not speak about that. And also, let's not forget to mention, this game and two more games on this list had some of the most badass intros to really any game or franchise. The intros to this game were fucking awesome, and to this day, they are still watchable through the goddamn roof. Honestly, it really did. This game really gave me a lot of fun memories that are still with me to this day, and yep, that's really good. Obviously, number 7, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. If I'm being honest here, Mortal Kombat Deception was really cool, but for some odd reason, I actually still prefer this one, the one that came out before Deception. This is the game that unfortunately had another controversial little decision where, just like in Mortal Kombat 3 how they left out Scorpion, this game unfortunately left out fan favorite Liu Kang. And as you would expect, it did not go well with fans. But aside from that little mistake, the game featured, again, some new faces such as Movado, Bo' Raicho, and Li Mei, and a few others. The stages, and this was obviously the one game that really took a new direction with this franchise. Some might argue the next entry, which I will get to, but this is the game that took a new direction with Mortal Kombat, and it worked to perfection. Sure, the fatalities may not have been as gruesome as they are today, but hey, let's be honest, this was the PS2 era, so cut them some slack. Also, not to mention that we got introduced into the Deadly Alliance. Of course, that consisted of Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. Also, let's not forget to mention that Moloch was the semi-boss, but let's not think about that. But overall, though, the game is fun as hell. Scorpion's alternate costume with his flaming skull was dope as fuck. And honestly, this was the one game that gave me some also fun memories, but mostly consisting of myself and my dad. It was mostly the two of us that were playing it, because another little fun story, during that time, I still hadn't been going to school, so he would drop me off at my grandma's house, he would pick me up, and we would get on MK for at least an hour or two, and then we would go to sleep. It was like that for at least a few months, and honestly, to this day, they are still some of the funnest memories, just like Deception. Number 6, Mortal Kombat 4. It is surprising that when you look at games that are considered classics for the PS1 era, you always hear the likes of Tekken 3 or Resident Evil 2 or Metal Gear Solid. But what about Mortal Kombat 4? Why is it that this Mortal Kombat, the Mortal Kombat that I think is so fucking awesome, why did this one get only... Actually, it didn't get noticed at all. In my opinion, this might be one of the most underrated fighting games of all time. The catchy theme music and the awesome memorable stages were just that damn badass. Let's not forget to mention that we also got the likes of Rico, Jarek, Kai, and Tanya, and fucking Fujin, who I hope makes a return in another game on this list. But Fujin, has always been one of my favorite characters ever since this game. The endings were funny. Well, some of them were funny, mostly Johnny Cage. And as we all know, some of these endings were actually the same thing, but just recycled a little bit, which was fine for its time. The gameplay, I think, was very fun. The fatalities, I thought, were actually pretty damn cool. This one and Mortal Kombat 4 Gold were really good. Whichever one you prefer, they are both fantastic games. Even though I'm pretty sure some people might prefer the other one just because it has more characters and more stages. Featuring the likes of Cyrex, Sector, Melina, Katana, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Goro was also playable, but hey, I could be wrong. But regardless though, this game remains one of the all-time best Mortal Kombat entries into the franchise, and I really honestly, it would kind of be cool if this game got more recognition. But regardless though, it remains one of the funner entries into the franchise. Number 5, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Honestly, if people don't know about this game, then I don't know what to say. But if you grew up back in this time period, you will know that this is one of the most badass Mortal Kombat games ever. It took 3 different attempts from Midway, but hey, third time's a charm. This game is a perfect example of how you take a game or a franchise that's based on just fighting and you turn it into an actual story mode game. Liu Kang and Kung Lao are the main protagonists, and they go through so many adventures in this game. And honestly, to this very day, it is so playable. I've played this game countless times when it first came out, and I still love playing it to this very day. It was just that damn amazing. It's fun as hell, and honestly, the boss fights and everything like that were just extremely fun to enjoy. Find the likes of Reptile, Baraka, Scorpion, Ermac, Goro, etc. This was a very fun experience, and apparently Ed Boon has said himself that they are going to be doing a sequel to this eventually. So, NetherRealm, take my money. Number 4, Mortal Kombat Armageddon. This was possibly my favorite Mortal Kombat for its time. This, like Trilogy, combined the rosters of basically every single Mortal Kombat game out there. And this had the best conquest mode of all of them. It honestly felt like you could take this conquest mode and make it as its own separate game. It could have been, you could easily just, take out conquest, make it its own game, and just call it Mortal Kombat Sons of Argus or something like that. It was really cool. It was really good. And honestly, I really wish they would bring back Conquest eventually, but that probably won't ever happen. And the fact that this, again, featured every single fighter imaginable was off the charts. My only issues was I wasn't the biggest fan of Blaze. Unaga I thought was really cool, but Blaze didn't really cut it for me. But this game even allowed you to create your own character, which I thought for its time was fucking awesome and super unreal. Hell, even Motor Combat I thought was enjoyable. The only thing that holds it back are its fatalities. Now, they may not be as bad as the MK vs. DC fatalities, but this game actually gave you free will to do whatever you want, and although that did sound good in theory, it didn't work. You had Killer Fatality, Bloody Fatality, and you had various others that were very lackluster, to be honest. But that aside, though, this game still deserves its place as being one of the best games in history. Number 3, Mortal Kombat 9. This is how you reboot a franchise. Just like Deadly Alliance, they did it once again with MK9 in even better fashion. This was based off of the first 3 Mortal Kombats, and it was fucking epic. It was a really good feeling of nostalgia, and this featured basically every single fan favorite during that era. This might just be the best story mode of all time, at least for Mortal Kombat. It was extremely long, the cutscenes were very enjoyable, and it remains one of the all-time best games in history. And for good reason. It was very cool for its time, and it remains one of the most fucking awesome games ever. The fact that we got Kratos and Freddy Krueger was just the icing on the cake. The fatalities might have been the gruesome yet at its time, but we all know those got topped by another entry. But regardless, though, I fucking love this game. When I first played it, I could not believe my eyes. But you know what? I was wondering, how can they possibly top themselves? This game is fucking awesome. What can they possibly do to top themselves? Well, number 2, Mortal Kombat X. This is how you make a perfect, or at least a damn near perfect sequel to an already established game. Mortal Kombat X, it takes place 25 years after its predecessor, and it was even better. The gameplay may not have been as good as MK9, but it was still good in its own right. We got so many new faces, the likes of course, Takashi Takeda, Aaron Black, Jackie Briggs, Cassie Cage, honestly, and Kung Jin, and also Ferrator, Devora, and Kodo Khan. But this game was really good, and we even got 4 different guest characters. Alien, Leatherface, Jason, and possibly my favorite guest character of this game, the Predator. The fact that we even got the likes of Triborg, Cyrex, Sector, and of course Cyber Smoke was just amazing. We even got back Tremor, who was just a beast in this game. The story mode wasn't the best, I'll admit. There were some problems with the story mode. Personally, I was not too happy how Cassie Cage was the last person you played as. Do not get me wrong, I like Cassie Cage now. I think she's really cool. But in MKX, she just wasn't that good, and I wasn't a huge fan of how she was the last person you played as. Hell, even Katana or Melina or Sonya even I would have been fine with, but we get what we get. This game was just that damn amazing, and honestly, the fact that they even brought back Scorpion's badass outfit from Injustice Gods Among Us, what more can you ask for? And I kept wondering, MK9 is already badass. This game is fucking awesome. How can they possibly top themselves yet again? And oh, baby. That leads me to number 1, Mortal Kombat 11. I don't know if it's the fact that we got so many fan favorite characters returning. I don't know if it's the fact that the graphics are fucking off the charts. I don't know if it's the fact that you could customize your favorite characters. I don't know if it's the fact that Liu Kang becomes a fucking god. I don't know if it's the fact that Carrie came back as motherfucking Shang Tsung. But whatever the reason, this is the best Mortal Kombat in history. I don't give a fuck. This is my list, and this is what I truly believe. Let's be honest here. The fact that you could customize these characters is super dope. And the gameplay, again, may not be as good as MK9, but it's still pretty damn amazing. If this game is not perfect, well, it's pretty damn close. The story mode I thought was a really good improvement from MKX. And seeing the new faces such as Chronica, Garrus, Cetrion, and possibly my favorite new character to come out of this game, of course, the motherfucking Collector, who's got 6 fucking arms. It was fucking awesome. Seeing the likes of Cabal, Baraka, Daisy, and also Noob, Cybot, and hell, Scarlet was fucking awesome. And hell, we even got a funny "Make Out World Great Again" joke. That was actually pretty funny, if you ask me. But aside from all that shit, this game is fucking awesome. And it makes me think to myself, what will the next Mortal Kombat entry be like? Who knows? We will have to wait plenty of years to find out about that. And hell, the fact that Shao Kahn even came back as a playable character, what more can you ask for? And honestly, guys, we don't even have the DLC yet for this game, but I can guarantee you it'll be hella worth it. Mortal Kombat 11 is a perfect example of how you just give your fans exactly what they want. And this is exactly what I wanted. A great game with great characters, great new characters, great returning characters. Let's not forget to mention also, the fatalities might be the most gruesome so far. And the crypt is actually pretty damn amazing. In MK9, it was just very simple. You know, the crypt was very simple. MKX was a little bit more different, but this game, the crypt in this game is super different. They didn't have to do all that. They didn't have to do any of that for this crypt, but hey, I like that. We get various cameos in the crypt, which is pretty damn cool. All I can say is, guys, this is the best entry in the Mortal Kombat franchise. And if you disagree with me, that's perfectly okay. But this is my list, and I want to say thank you to Ed Boon and to NetherRealm for giving us yet another badass game. That's pretty much it, guys. That is all I can say for all these games. That was my list of ranking every single entry from worst to best. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you disagree with me, please be civil. Do not be a dick about it, alright? I'll see you guys later, alright, guys? So that is my list. I fucking love Mortal Kombat 11, and I can't wait for the DLC, alright? So be sure to click the notification button, like, comment, subscribe. Until then, REKLEZ Rich, signing out.